Good evening, everyone. Om Jnanatimirandasya Ganadana Shalakaya Chakshurunmitaniha Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. We're continuing our study of chapter 4 Bhagavad-Gita. In the beginning of the chapter, Krishna mentions the lineage in which this teaching of Karma Yoga is coming down, and that this teaching was accepted by great authorities of the past. This is to lend authenticity to his teaching. Even though he's God, he doesn't speculate. He doesn't concoct a new philosophy. He gives a philosophy that is accepted by authorities. This leads Arjuna to a question: how did you teach? Because the lineage happened to be the sun god, etc. So how did you teach this to him? He's 120 million years older than you. It's kind of a lot. So how did you teach this to him? So this leads Krishna to describing, going off on a tangent from the main discussion, which is Karma Yoga right now. Krishna goes off into a tangent to describe the avatar, the ontological position of the avatar and how that is distinct from normal humans. And the reason avatar, again, means one who descends into this world from above to below. So coming from the spiritual reality to this material world. And so he describes how that his appearance in this world is different from the birth of the conditioned souls. And then he describes why he comes and when he comes. And then he says, anyone who hears the stories of the avatars, that when they leave this world, then they can attain the spiritual reality. Madbhavam agata means a spiritual nature like his own. And they will not have to take rebirth in this world. So it's very powerful just to hear the stories of the avatar. And of course, to understand them in truth. Evam yoveti tatuta, one should not misconceive the stories as some sort of mythology meant to give some purport for human beings, which is the normal tendency. That is also true. That is one level, but it's not a complete level of understanding. For one who has a more complete understanding, then hearing these stories and understanding the actual tattva that underpins them, then they can get freedom from this world. So there are also many avatars, many avatars are there. But although there are many avatars, they are not different persons. Just like you're a person, you're a different person, you're a different person. So there are also many avatars, but there's all one person. And the example that is given is like a Vaidurya gem. I don't even know what that is. And in the footnote, it said lapis lazuli.
Oh, lapis lazuli.
How do you say that?
Lapis lazuli.
Lapis lazuli. Okay. So that one. Do you know what this stone is? Anyway, I don't know if this is true of this stone, but the Vaidurya gem in the Sanskrit is a stone that, depending on the angle that the light hits it, it changes colors. But there's only one stone, but depending on the angle of the light, different color is coming. So similarly, the avatars are only one person. That person is Bhagavan. But according to the mood of the devotion of the bhakta, that avatar appears in multifarious forms. So then this leads Krishna to say in 4:11, this is a famous verse. We didn't discuss this verse last passage. That in whichever way a person approaches me. So different devotees approach different avatars. So in our tradition, we approach Radha and Krishna. But there are other devotees of Nrsingadev. There are devotees of Varahadev. There are devotees of Kurma and Matsya and so on. There are different, so many avatars are there. And they all approach their choice deity. That is called as Ishta Devata. Means the deity of your heart. And they have their different modes of worship, their different practices that they do, which are, there are a lot of similarities that are there, of course, but there are a lot of differences are there. But Krishna says, that according to the nature of their approach, and of course their chosen deity, the nature of their approach, their mood of worship, then I reciprocate accordingly. Yata means in accordance with the mood of their worship, with their desire, with their practices, and all these things depend on your understanding and your practice. Then I will reciprocate accordingly. Know that all persons follow my path. The different paths that have come through these different lineages, which are without beginning, they all come and follow me. So this is a conclusion of that tangential discussion, that everyone is actually worshiping me. They worship me in this form, they worship me in that form, or this one. And according to their mode of approach and then I reciprocate. Another verse I'm thinking of, this is from the Bhagavatam. Yadiya ta urugaya vibhavayanti tatava pranayase saranugrahaya. This basically means, in short, according to meditation, you get realization. According to meditation, you get realization. So what are you meditating on? Anyway, you cannot say in open class. Most of us are not so advanced to reveal what we're meditating on. So if you meditate on Krishna, then you'll realize Krishna. Not that if you meditate on Krishna, you'll realize something else. Like sometimes, anyway, I don't know if any of you had this when you first joined Krishna conscious movement, but we were like always afraid, like, what if we end up like in Vaikuntha? Vaikuntha is a spiritual world, and there Krishna, well, it's Narayan form. He has 4 arms. So we're worshiping Krishna, but what if we don't have like enough devotion? And like we just quite didn't hit the mark. And then it was like we're going up, and then the plane just kind of lands at Vaikuntha. And we feel like, oh man, shucks, not only have Narayan. It's not like that. According to your chosen deity, then Krishna will reciprocate in kind. All persons are following my path in all respects. So this is 411. Very nice verse. Kind of an esoteric verse that comes up later on in this tradition. So then in 412, not everyone is worshiping the avatar or any avatar. There are so many avatars, but how many people in New York are worshiping any of them? You know anyone worshiping any avatar? Aside from this Bhakti Center, does anyone worship the avatar in this New York City? So most people do not worship. So 412 mentions this. Very nice verse. The passage we're studying today is 412 to 418. Krishna gets back to the main line of discussion, which is karma yoga. So Krishna mentions here, Kankshata karmanam siddham yajanta iha devataha. So people in this world desire perfection from their activities. Kankshata karmana siddham means one strives for perfection from their work in this world. Right? You do yoga teachers training so you can become nice yoga teacher, I guess. Presumably. Although I don't know how much you can do that in just 6 months, but anyway, whatever. You know, or you're working nice jobs so you can make lots of money. You desire some perfection in this world, isn't it? What is your ideal perfection in this world? Be honest. Well, I mean, keep it PG-13, but what is your ideal perfection in this world? The material world, in the material sense. Y'all ain't that spiritual. Come on. Someone give example. What is your ideal? Harsha, you can come closer.
Yes.
What is your ideal? What is a perfection you strive for in this world? Okay.
That means to enjoy, to provide.
That's so vague. I don't know what you're talking about. So abstract. Something specific, some perfection you strive for in this world. I don't think maybe the word perfection is a little too strong. So, what are some goals you have? That may be a softer way of putting it. Some goal, material goal.
The desire for people to validate or accept a particular practice that you do.
Okay, also a little abstract, but yes.
I want a bigger apartment in New York.
Ooh, good luck with that. Okay, bigger apartment. That's less abstract. Something very real and practical, right? I want a bigger apartment. I want 1,200 followers on Instagram. I'm at 189. I know, but I'm at only 1189, so I try to get up to the top. So we have all these different material goals that we have. So yajanti iha devata. So persons worship the devatas in this world. Now, of course, this was in Vedic culture, they worship devatas. But in modern culture, they worship politicians, the Kardashians, some YouTuber, an influencer. They're an influencer. That word cracks me up so much. Who else they're worshiping? Like this. Yajanti iha, these are the people, the devatas that your boss, so you can get a raise. so you can get more money, so you can get a bigger apartment. You worship some devata. Why do you worship? Shipram hi manushe loke, because very quickly results are coming. So when you follow these spiritual paths, because they deal with developing inner life, you don't see results so quickly. Or maybe the results are coming, but they're very subtle. Just like sometimes spiritual practitioners, devotees, we practice for 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 years, sometimes up to a decade. And we're like, nothing's happening. You get this big doubt, like no advancement is taking place. And so many times, we've seen this many times in classes, someone will ask, Maharaj, I've been practicing for so long, but I don't see that anything is happening. So, the panic button is hit. And so all sorts of analogies are given that keep us encouraged. Well, it's just like an airplane, When you're on the airplane, when you first take off, you go really fast. But when you're in the air, it seems like it's going really slow, but you're actually still going really fast. So in the same way, although it feels like you're not making any advancement, we assure you that advancement is actually going on. This you've heard this before, yes? I'll give a little encouragement. You never heard this? Here's another one that they'll give also. They'll say, it is just like one tree in Asia, some type of banyan tree. It stays underneath the ground for 9 years. And you have to water it every single day for 9 years, and it doesn't grow. But on the 9th year, it's bamboo. But on the 9th year, it grows to the full amount. So in a similar way, it appears that you're not making any advancement, but just keep on watering that seed. And eventually, one day, you'll see that you'll actually become spiritually advanced. And in that way, you're supposed to be pacified. This is many. So in this way, people don't always, they feel concerned about taking up the spiritual life naturally. But with material things, you get results very quickly. I work a job and I get the money. It's a very quick result. I worship this devata in this Vedic culture, and results will come very fast. So persons who are kankshita karmana siddham. Kankshita means they're desiring perfection. Their desire is because of their ignorance, which has been long-standing. Because they desire these material goals, they worship devatas because shipnam hi manusha, it comes very fast. The results come very fast. Siddhir bhavati karmaja. They get quick success from their karmic activities in this world. So not everyone is interested in bhakti path and getting freedom from the world. Most people are interested in fulfilling their material desires. And as we heard at the end of chapter 3, when Krishna was concluding his discussion of karma yoga, this desire for enjoying this world is the big obstacle for the practice of karma yoga. Is really the big obstacle for any spiritual practice, also known as lust. And not just the sexual lust, but the lust for happiness in this world. Adanta gober vishatam to mishram puna punashcharvita charvanana. Prahlad Maharaj also says this thing, that the senses are adantago, means they are untamed, like a bad dog that just poops everywhere and anywhere. If you I never had a dog because my mom said they were the spit of the devil, so that wasn't allowed. She has some weird superstitions, but I saw friends, they had the animals, dog, and sometimes the dog isn't trained, then it will poop anywhere. It's very disturbing. So our senses are like this, adantago, untrained. So as soon as they get opportunity for exploiting immediately they go to exploit it, isn't it? Adanta and vishatam to mishram, and very quickly your life becomes hellish. Just like maybe another example, Adantago, we use his computer not to do work. Like today we went to the library to do work. We said, now in a quiet place, I will do work very nicely. But the senses are untamed. So you say, I'm going to open my computer and I'm going to read. I'm going to study. And then right when you open the computer and then you connect to the internet, which is always just not a good idea, the first thing that happens on my computer is all the notifications from Facebook slide across on the top of the screen. And immediately the sense is like, oh, let's go check that out real quick. No big deal, You're going to be here for a couple hours. And then before you know it, an hour and a half went into, scrolling on Facebook, commenting this, that, and other. And then you're like, okay, let me do some study. And then you get about 10 minutes in, and then another notification comes and you answer that. And then you close the computer and leave. 2 hours is up. And you go to your friend like, yeah, that was a good study session. Because you can't tell that you didn't do anything, because that would be embarrassing. So yeah, how did it go? Yeah, it was a nice study session. So Adanta Gobir, the senses are in 10, Vishatam to Mishram. One goes down to the hell. That's what it says, to Mishram. Puna Puna is Charvita Charvanana, chewing that which has already been chewed. So this karma is a big obstacle to spiritual progress, and identify that it's the specific obstacle to the development of karma yoga, spiritual life in general. So not everyone is doing karma yoga, not everyone is doing bhakti yoga, which is what we've just heard about, but most people are doing this thing. And of course, for that, Puna Puna Charvita Charvita, they chew that which has already been chewed, which means they continue in the cycle of birth and death, enjoying this world. Just like they used to, maybe they still have this thing when we were in school, middle school. One kid would have the gum. You've seen this? One kid will have the bubble gum, and you also want some. So you ask them, can I also get a piece? Has this ever happened? You probably don't. Yo, yes. Yes. You eat the bubble gum sometimes? No. But you've seen this. Okay. Sometimes they'll say, can I get a piece? They say, I have some ABC gum for you. Like this. You like ABC gum? Okay, that sounds all right. Like, whatever, as long as it's gum, And then you say, okay, can I get some? And they pull out already been chewed gum. And then you've never had that?
Oh, ABC.
Huh? Yeah, ABC gum already been chewed. That joke, that no one's ever done that to you. In middle school, they used to always do that. Means that they were selfish as anything. They didn't want to share their bubble gum. So I already have some ABC gum for you. So this material world is like this, ABC, already been chewed, chewing that which has already been chewed. Yeah, that's how disgusting it is. But we're such low creatures that we say, this is very nice, beautiful. Just like a hog eating the stool. The stool is there and the hog thinks this is very wonderful. If you give him, today we had pizza for lunch, it was very nice. If you give the hog pizza, then he said, what is this nonsense? Where is the wet stools? It is a disgusting thing. So like this, low creatures, due to the ignorance, we're chewing that which has already been chewed. No interest in a spiritual life. So Krishna in the next verse speaks that this is also his reciprocation with those who are materialistic. Chatur Varya Maya Srishnam Guna Karma Vibhagashaha. So he says Chatur Varnya means I created the social system of 4 varnas and 4 ashrams. 4 varnas means the occupational duties of the intellectual class, the warrior class. We heard about this earlier. The mercantile class and the laborer class. And then we have on the householders, the brahmacharis. The brahmacharis means like student life, monks. And then you have the vanapras, forest dwellers. Well, in old time, now we say retired life. Vana means forest, actually, it literally means forest dweller. And the sannyasi. So he said, I created this system for people who want to enjoy in this world. Again, if you want to enjoy in this world, there are rules for enjoyment. Otherwise, everyone just destroys each other. That is the natural result. So Chaturvaya Maheshashtam Guna Karma Vibhagashaha. So for these people who want to enjoy in previous verse, I created this system also. Guna Karma Vibhagashaha, divided in terms of guna and karma. The word guna means the system was divided in terms of psychology, and then based on the psychology, karma, some type of work should be taken up. This is a nice system, not like modern education system where everyone has to take all the same classes, which is a disaster situation. I often mention this in my classes when growing up in middle school. Middle school was nightmarish, boy. I would want to take birth in the mature world just to avoid middle school. And we had this situation where I'm not going to name the demographics because I don't want to come off as prejudiced. But y'all probably know what I'm talking about anyway. You would have a certain demographic of persons who, when we were taking like math class or history class, just couldn't do well because they just really didn't have the psychology for that sort of work. I wasn't good at math either. And you could sometimes see, we used to do this thing where the teachers would make us go around reading the books, public, which was always. And some of these people, it would take the rest of us like 1 minute to read like a paragraph. And then they would get to this one person and it would take them a really long time, like to read a sentence. You were like, they, man, come on, they. And so because they couldn't thrive in that class, they would just start throwing spitballs at the teacher. They would beat up the kids. Of course, when they were having a hard time reading, you couldn't laugh at them. Otherwise, after class, it was going to be a problem for you. But at the same time, these kids would never go to gym. The kids who would thrive in this history class or reading class, they would go to gym. They couldn't thrive there, but these kids would just really be thriving. So they're different type of psychology requires different type of work. And in old system, they would recognize this psychology, you do this work. That psychology, you do that work. Otherwise, it will be problem. You'll create problem. What is that statement? I think it's attributed to Einstein that if everyone is glorious, but if you make a fish climb a tree.
Try to make a fish climb a tree, and I don't know, live thinking they're stupid or something.
Yeah, you make a fish try to climb a tree, it will live thinking it's stupid. Yeah, something like this. So that is a modern system. So you always end up feeling like inadequate because you're good at some things, you're not good at other things. So this system was the system where you take into account the psychology and work of a person. Krishna says that was created by me. Why it was created by me? For the people who want to enjoy in this world. So there has to be some system to govern that. Otherwise, it'll be crazy. Just like playing basketball in the hood. None of you maybe have that experience, but I have that experience. There are no rules. A very dangerous situation. Are you have the experience? It's a very dangerous situation. No rules. So you go up, you're like, I used to play ball. I was decent. And you go up for the layup and you're about to make it, and the guy just go, foul. You're like, foul. There ain't no fouls. You try to play defense and they dribble the ball all the way outside the boundary of the thing and then come back. You're like, that's out. They're not out of bounds. So like this, how are you supposed to play a nice game? It's and of course it gets dangerous also in the hood. I mean, so similarly in this material world, if people try to play, they try to play the game of enjoyment, but there are no boundaries. Then they end up destroying each other. So I created a system too for the people who want to enjoy according to their psychology and propensity for work. Tasya kartaram apimam. Although I am the father of this system, Vidi akartaram avyayam. I am also not the doer of the system. Although I made the system, I also didn't make the system. So what does that mean? The idea here is because God makes a system by his energy, and he is separate from that energy. Just like a magnet moves an object outside of itself, but the magnet itself is stationary or over here. So in a similar way, this system was created by God, by his energy, which is acting outside of himself. But in his own nature, he is actually aloof. He is detached. Does that make sense? Can you follow that analogy? So this magnet, the energy of the magnet is one with and different from the magnet. It is different from the magnet because it acts outside of the magnet, but it does not exist unless the magnet is there. So in a similar way, this energy through which God creates this system is acting outside of God, and in his own nature, he is actually detached. At the same time, this energy cannot act without his existence. So he's a doer, he's a non-doer at the same time. You follow this analogy? It's a good analogy. It comes from, I was just reading it today when we were at the library. Well, that study coming through. That 10 minutes I got in is coming through. So the next verse, he clarifies his point. Namam karmani limpanti name karma palespriha. So someone may say, how are you not doing anything? Because Arjuna is looking at Krishna. Krishna was a Kshatriya in terms of his avatar lila. So he said, no, you're doing your avatar. You're doing the work avatar. He says, no, namam karmani limpanti. All this work does not affect me. Name karma palaspriha. Nor do I have any desire for work. Karma pale means I have desire for the fruit of the work. I'm completely detached. Again, thinking of the same idea of the magnet, another example is given. Namam karmani limpanti. Just like when rain falls from the ground, so many fruits are coming up from the ground. If it's mango seed was planted, then mango fruit comes. If avocado seed, is avocado considered a fruit? Okay. If avocado seed is planted, then avocado fruit is coming. So is that the rain? Is the rain responsible for the type of fruit that comes up? No, the rain is not responsible, right? But without the rain, the fruit cannot come up, right? So God is like this. He is like the rain, that without him, nothing can function. But at the same time, whatever is being manifest in this world is not due to him, but rather it is due to our karmas. So you have a particular type of body. Like sometimes people are upset with God. Why have this situation and not that situation? And God said, I'm just like the rain. Yo, that's on you. On whatever situation you got, you planted a particular seed, you're getting a particular fruit. So if your fruit is tasting bitter, that means you planted some bitter seeds. I'm just like the rain that has facilitated that. So Mam Karmani Limpanti means none of these activities of creation, of the system that I've created, none of these things actually affect me with some fault. Like, oh, I like this one, so I did it like that. I like this one, so I did it like that. Is happening due to their karmas. But without me, it could not happen whatsoever. I'm like the rain facilitating that, the efficient cause. You follow this? Now, karma nor do I get any, nor do I have any desire to achieve from creating this system. Just like now, people are very into social change. They get a lot of excitement just by rebel rousing. Actually, they're not even changing anything. They're hope to change, but just the rebel rousing itself is very exciting, isn't it? Just like there was this whole, what was this called? The 99%. What was that thing called? Occupy Wall Street. Yes, I remember we go to Occupy Wall Street in Chicago sometimes to do Harinam, and people would just be lounging around like nothing to do. They would just come together, big crowd, and mostly they were smoking marijuana. And when the cameras would come, then they would like, okay, let's like gather the people, but it was nothing to do. It was quite boring. I remember once, so we went and we started Harinam. Well, devotees are doing Harinam. It looked like we rebel rousing sometimes, especially when it starts to get fast. We're like, we're like looking at each other and Hari bowling and jumping and looking like we're rebel rousing. So they would also get very excited, just to rebel rouse. And of course, there are ideas that they can get some social change. But for Krishna, there's nothing like that for him. He has no desire because he's existing separate from this world in his own nature, in his own world. So iti mam yo abhijananti karmabir nasabhadite. Anyone who understands this about me, he is not bound by this nature. So this statement is very similar to 261 and 330. I don't know if you remember those verses. If you've been working on the questionnaires, you should be remembering the verses. 261, 330. Anyone remember those verses? 261 is the first place where Krishna talks about himself, and 330 is the second place where Krishna speaks about himself in terms of the success of the performance of your sadhana. So the obstacle is what? The obstacle is lust. The obstacle to bhakti, the obstacle to the karma yoga path that he's discussing is basically lust in one word. So how do you get over this obstacle? You have to know the nature of God. You have to meditate on God. That is what he's saying in these verses 261, 330, and now this verse. If you meditate on God, then you will be free from this bondage, on this lust that causes the karmic bondage. So someone will say, oh, I'm not agree to this. Just like I mentioned this in one of our classes. Sometimes we say, chant Hare Krishna. They say, I don't want to chant Hare Krishna. Okay, you're going to chant something else. They say, we're going to chant Coca-Cola. Someone asked Srila Prabhupada this also. What is wrong with chanting Coca-Cola? So Prabhupada said, no problem, you chant Coca-Cola. And when you're tired, then chant Hare Krishna. I love that answer. Prabhupada was so smooth. You want to chant Coca-Cola, you chant. And when you get tired, you chant Hare Krishna. So some people do not agree to the proposition to think of God. Here he's also saying anyone who knows this about me. That means to meditate on his nature, and you can become free from this karma that causes the bondage. So someone says, I'm not agreeable to that. So Krishna says, if you're not agreeable to this, then there's a result of that also. Not that I'm not like imposing this on you. I'm just letting you know what the results are. Just like you stick your hand in fire, what happens? right? You're gonna get burned. That's not fire saying like I got anything against you. It's just like the way it is. So if you don't want to think of Krishna, then what is the result? 262, 263, Krishna says. What is the result? What are those verses?
You will become people. First, you'll get attached, then you'll become angry because you don't fulfill
Yes.
desires. And then
If you don't think of me, Dhyayato Vishayam Pusam, then you'll think of?
objects of the senses.
Yes. You'll think of something for sure. And you're probably not going to be congenial for the spiritual progress. And then that not congenial thing you're thinking about, then you're going to get attached to it. Like, yeah, this is kind of nice. And then after these, once you come to this is kind of nice, then you start to get, actually the word is thirsty. The nature of kama is trishna. Means thirst. So I always thought that was cool. Everything that is old can be made new again. Here Krishna talks about this thirsty problem in the Bhagavad-Gita. Hare Krishna. So if you don't want to think of me, then you'll think of this other thing, and then you'll become bound, basically. So that is two options. Option one, think of Krishna, chant Hare Krishna. Option two,
Be bound.
be bound. Think of something uncongenial and get bound up. So anyone who thinks of me, then they can become free from this karma bondage. So next few verses here. Finish the passage. Evam gatva kritam karma purva arpima mukshabi. Anyone who understands me thus, evam gantva, anyone knowing me thus, knowing how I exist in this world but separate from it, understanding this tattva, meditating on me, all these things we've just mentioned. And kritam karma, anyone who knows me thus and performs a karma, purvair api, just like the old persons. Purvair means the persons who existed previously. And this word purvair refers to those persons like Vivaswan, Ishwaku, Manu that he mentioned earlier. Anyone who understands me thus and performs work in this world like the previous persons who received this doctrine of karma yoga. Mamukshabihi, and they're desiring liberation. Then those who understood me thus perform work in this world, desiring liberation. These persons were the previous persons. Vivaswan, Ishwaku, Manu, I mentioned them previously. So Kuma Karma Tasmatvam. Therefore, you should also do this work in this world. You should work like me in a detached way, or like Vivaswan, or like Ishwaku, or like Manu. Tasmat means therefore he's making a conclusion. You also work in this way. If you're not enlightened, then you should work in this way for getting enlightenment. And if you're already enlightened, then you should work in this way to set the example. You all remember the word from chapter 3 that Christians used for why the enlightened work in this world? The enlightened persons don't have the obligation to work in this world because they're already enlightened. They're already experiencing happiness of self. But they also work in this world. Why do they work in this world? To set an example. And what's the importance of setting an example? Another word was used. I'll say it, Loka Sangraha. You remember this? To benefit the world. So therefore, you should work in this world either for getting enlightenment or else for benefiting the world. Purvair Purvataram Kritam, following the example of the previous persons who worked in this way, either for getting enlightenment or for benefiting the world. You understand? So Krishna is again encouraging Arjuna to take up this karma yoga. 4:16, 4:17, he says, Arjuna may say, why do you keep stressing on these old people? You got to follow the old people, Not a very popular message today. Or the popular message today is make your own path, do your own thing. The old people are like basically useless. But in Vedic culture, of course, there may be some truth to this. Old people are useless in modern time because they didn't live spiritual lives. But in previous times, the old persons were authorities because they also lived proper lives. So he said, why do you keep stressing following the old people? Because kim karma karameti kavayo api atra mohita. Because even learned persons get confused about this subject matter. What is the subject matter? Karma and akarma. And here, the confusion is being spiritual while working in the world. That's a source of confusion. right? Even in our own spiritual devotional community, there's always a source of confusion. There's like so many devotees, for example, they compartmentalize their life. Like my work life is over here, that's material, and my spiritual life is over here. And then you have some preachers say, no, you have to see all of it as spiritual. And they have so many arguments, like that kind of sounds compelling. Then another preacher will come the next day and say, this is material, only this is spiritual. And they give so many arguments that also sounds very compelling. And then the meantime, the rest of us are just looking. And then sometimes you say, but he said this yesterday. Who is said? And then you can't say because you know some apparatus is about to be be made in the class. I heard from a preacher who is told, you know. So this confusion comes up. What is spiritual and what is material? Sometimes persons renounce the world, but they are materialistic. And sometimes people are working in the world, but they are spiritual. So this thing is always a source of confusion, even for learning persons, Krishna says here. Kem karma kema karmeti kavayo api atramohita. Tate karma pravakshami. So now I'm going to speak to you about this karma, this spiritual path that I'm actually. Karma here then means karma yoga. Yagantva mokshashe ashubha, knowing which you shall become free from all inauspiciousness. You hear from me about this science. Next verse, he mentions he juxtaposes three terms here. Karmano hyapi bodhavyam chavi karmana, akarmana shabodhavyam gahana karmano gati. So three terms are mentioned here: karmana, vikarma, and akarma. So vikarma, generally the word vikarma means sin, but the word vikarma here means action for material enjoyment. And this is called as vikarma. So anything you do, pious or sinful, you do for purposes of sinful enjoyment is what's called as vikarma, not favorable. Karma in this verse means karma yoga, and akarmana means basically it means jnana. Those who have performed karma yoga and thus become enlightened, they kind of detach from the world. So he says these three terms should be understood. Bodhavya means to understand them properly. You should understand them. Gahana karmano gati. They're very difficult to understand. So you should understand them by following the Vriddha, the old persons who've understood it. So the last verse here, and this is the most confusing verse of them all. One who sees inaction in action and action in inaction is intelligent among men. So does it make sense? That does make sense. Okay, cool. Inaction here refers to jnana, actually, the enlightenment. One who sees enlightenment in action. So the action here means the action of karma yoga, the spiritual path that I'm speaking, in which you work in the world in a spiritual way. You see jnana in those actions. Why? Because those actions lead to enlightenment. And those who see action and inaction. So for those who are enlightened, they've actually manifested again. You can see that they have that enlightenment, but you can also see the work that they did to get that enlightenment. They did the work of karma yoga to get that enlightenment, right? So you see action, the work of karma yoga, in the inaction, the enlightened state that they're experiencing. You follow? Do you follow this? Do I have to say it again? Just like the relationship is kind of like a seed and a fruit. When you see a mango fruit, you understand automatically that it came from a mango seed. And when you see a mango seed, you understand that a mango fruit has come out of that. So similarly, if you see an enlightened person, you can understand automatically the work that they did to get that enlightenment, right? And if you see someone doing spiritual work, you can understand by that work, enlightenment can come from that. So this is the meaning of these action and inaction, and inaction and action. What does inaction and action mean? Below. Anyone can say.
I mean, seeing, what is it? Seeing beyond karma yoga. So that means seeing that particular action will lead to a specific.
Yes. And what does it mean to see action and inaction?
Putting in the good work through karma yoga to become enlightened.
Yes, you see that they're enlightened, but they must have done the good work to get that enlightenment. So this person is Buddhima Manu, he is intelligent among men. So, of course, when it's explained like this simply, it seems very straightforward. But when you have to live it, that's where all the confusion comes up. What job to take? Is this job taking me away from my spiritual life? Is the job itself spiritual, even though it's material? That's all confusion comes up. Sayukta Krishna Karmakrit, this person has performed all work, one who knows this. So this is the end of the passage. He performs all work because once you experience happiness with the self, that is the fruit of all work. The fruit of all work is basically happiness. So if you experience happiness with the self, then you get the fruit of any type of work. That is the meaning of the last line. Such a person has completed all activity. Krishna Karmakrit. So this is the end of the passage. It's only 5 minutes yet. You want to say something?
I had a question. Because I've never heard that explanation of the verse. I thought that was really fascinating.
This explanation is, I actually blended. Well, this explanation is Baladeva Vibhushana's commentary, and Prabhupada follows Baladeva Vibhushana's commentary for the most part. I also blended some of Sri Vishwanath's commentary into some of the previous explanations. It's interesting. Yes.
Yeah. Just because I was thinking, like, I don't know, I guess, I haven't really studied very deeply, but I was thinking, like, how I used to understand this verse was kind of like, if you think of, you know, I think it was kind of reversed in the sense that, like, people are, you know, they're acting, people who are doing karma, not karma yet, but do karma, they're acting, it seems like they're moving, they're doing, but they're actually not really doing anything to be found by their fruit of activity. So it's kind of like inaction, so-called action. And then the opposite is like action and inaction means like the devotee seems to be working, but because he's not bound by his fruit of action, he's not really working in the world. He's working, you know, for Krishna.
Yes. So this explanation you're giving follows Sri Vishwanath's comment. The word, if you take his commentary, then the word inaction and action. So he's inaction here refers to no karmic result. So in the performance of the action of karma yoga or bhakti yoga, there's inaction. That means there is no karma accrued. And he sees action in inaction. So the example Sri Vishwanath gives us of a sannyasi. He's renounced the world, but he has no Krishna bhakti. He didn't follow proper system of karma yoga. So although he seems to be detached from the world, there is action, which means there will be karmic reaction. He accrues karma. It's like, you know, like a hippie. He's renounced the world, but he didn't do karma yoga. So you're going to say, bro, you didn't do karma yoga. I don't know if that's good for you. It's not safe. So you see that they're getting reaction because they did not follow the proper path. So this explanation follows Sri Vishwanath's comment. And the one that I gave in class follows Bhagavad Vishwanath's commentary. They both give nice verses to justify both things. Yes.
I had a question regarding what you were talking about in the beginning of class about just the different avatars and that according to what you worship, then you will be awarded realization of that. I've heard by some like contemporary Mayavadi philosophers.
Rascals! No,
Just, I feel like this exact thing used to show that actually everything, like if you're meditating on Krishna, then Krishna will appear to you. If you're meditating on Jesus, then Jesus will appear to you. And it's all actually just Brahman, just an impersonal reality that is appearing to you, to your psychology. And it seems like these
So we reject that. So the rest of the verse, the verse that I recited, that was the last part of the verse. The first part of the verse is Tvam Bhakti Yoga Paribhavita Hrisaroja. Ase. So the Supreme Lord comes and takes his seat in the heart of those whose hearts have been infused with Bhakti Yoga. Tam Bhakti Yoga Paribhavita means a Bhakti Yoga infusion. I always imagine like a machine. It's like and you get like a Bhakti download or something. This means Prema Bhakti. The Lord comes and takes his heart, and those whose hearts have been infused with Bhakti Yoga means Prema. How did they get such bhakti infused hearts? Shruta ikshita pata nanunata pongsan. By the first day Shruta, they heard Bhaktya Shruta Grihitaya. They've heard from the Guru about the reality. and in Bhagavan, his different features, those different forms, how to worship those different forms. And they follow that path of hearing to Ikshita until they saw. So first there is hearing, and then there is realization, according to the path that you've taken, the path that you received from hearing. So and then the next verse, according to your meditation is not some concoction. Your meditation is based on Shrutta Grihitaya, hearing from the Guru. Hearing, what did you hear from the Guru? You're hearing whatever Bhagavan is taught, how to worship him in this particular form. What are the different processes for worshiping in that particular form? So it is not just some. I believe in the spaghetti monster. What's that one? There's a whole group of atheists who started a religion to make fun of religious people called the Flying Spaghetti Monster. So they said we worship the Flying Spaghetti Monster. He has spaghetti has like meatballs for eyes, and then he has like a drainer as a crown. They made they registered it as like an actual thing to make fun. But they ain't got nothing on Bhagavad-Gita. I don't even know if they have a sacred book or whatever. So these forms the meditation is not a concoction. It is according to what you've heard. Shrutta Grihita or Shrutta Ikshita Pata Nananata Pumsa. So their explanation is rejected on the fact that it is not something that whatever resonates with your psychology or so on. It's whatever you've received from above to below. And that above starts, of course, with God, but it's coming through a chain of parampara. And you happen to associate with that particular sadhu. So they've revealed that reality to you, and that's the reality you come to meditate on. So why do we meditate on Gaur Chandra and Radha Krishna? Because those are the devotees we met. If we had met Sri Vaishnavas, we meditate on Narayana. If you met Ram Bhaktas, then they would teach you about Ram Bhakti. So it's not a concocted meditation. That I feel no, that is not allowed. The feelings are allowed, of course, but they're not trusted in the beginning stages. First, we hear, and you learn. Krishna is saying, Gana Tapasa, Puta, one who's been purified by the austerity of knowledge. Ma Bhavama, they attain a nature like my own. Or Evanyo Veti Tattva, those who understand me in Tattva. How they get the Tattva? Because they were initiated into the Tattva by the Guru. What is that verse? Paritranaya, wrong verse. Come on, help me out. The 434.
Oh.
Pranipatena, Tavidi Pranipatena, Pariprashnana Sevaya, Upadekshanti Te Gyanam, Ganinas, Tattva Darshana. So Tattva Darshana means one who's seen the Tattva. Upadekshanti Te Gyanam, he initiates the person into knowledge. Shrutta Ikshita Pata, same idea. So this is why that is the full verse. It is not that you worship Jesus or you worship this one or you worship that one. From whom you have heard? Did you hear from Bhagavan? Basically, that's the question. And then hearing from Bhagavan means hearing to the parampara, the lineages that connect back to Bhagavan, like this. So that I just read about this also just 2 days ago when I was studying this specific question and commentary I was reading. It's nice to study regularly. Good. Okay, does that answer the question? What is it? You have some further doubt?
No, I don't have doubt about the validity of the point.
Yeah.
Just, I'll have to meditate on it.
Okay. So normally we do a questionnaire thing, but time is up. Someone can share one thing that they understood from today, or reflections, please. One reflection.
Well, inaction and action depends upon karma accrued. I think before this class, I was thinking in terms of, how can I say it? I was thinking in terms of the person actually doing an activity, but it looks like he's not doing an activity. I think when you add karma accrued, I think it goes deeper, and you can see, if the person is not accruing a karma, even their actions are inactive, so to speak.
Right.
Yeah, I think I have it.
Right. That is like devotees. So they're chanting, they're worshiping deities. Like, you know, the real devotees, the pure devotees. Just to clarify. So it looks like they're doing so many things, but they're no example. Okay. So we'll stop here for today. Thank you very much. All right, on Tatsat. We'll take up the questionnaire in next class on Monday. Sit.